Hello and welcome to another episode of the Help Is Here podcast brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. Today we're going to be talking through some junkie thoughts and unanswerable questions. This is a massive, massive part of our program, and I'm really excited to share some thoughts from our clients in particular. Welcome on the show, Mary. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay today so far. So
Good,
far,
good.
so good.
Glad
It
to
was
have
a
you on the
really great
podcast.
football weekend. So
Yeah,
happy
how did
about
the
that.
Packers do?
They won. Yeah. They won 27-13, I think. And it was a really good team. So we hadn't beat them in a long time. So it was really awesome. But what was super cool was the Sunday night football game last night was the crazy comeback of like all time. Literally, you'll probably even hear about it over there because they told you they showed a bar in Manchester with a bunch of NFL fans going crazy over there. So yeah, if you get a chance, just look up the Ravens Bills highlights. I was just kind of sitting on my couch, half tuned out because I thought, oh, this is a blowout. The Ravens are going to win this game, and then just I don't know. Josh Allen, he's insane. So anyway, enough. This is not a football podcast. That's a that's another podcast. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's
no
get
worries.
into it. But yeah, look it up if you get a chance. Sunday night football, Bills Ravens. It was
Yeah,
just crazy,
I'll check
craziest
it
game.
out.
I was like blown away. It was super fun. Yeah,
Yeah, I was actually
yeah.
with a friend on Saturday because it's my birthday soon, so we're doing like a pre-birthday celebration on Saturday with some friends in Sheffield,
Oh,
and
when's your birthday?
yeah, my birthday's tomorrow. So
Tomorrow. Didn't
yeah,
even tell me. Oh
I
my
know.
God. Tom's
Yeah,
growing up.
I know. I'm excited. I'm excited.
27, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Holy
27.
cow.
I
Oh,
wasn't going to reveal my age to the
oh,
podcast
sorry.
listeners, but no,
Yeah.
that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
People often think I'm older, so yeah,
Well, you're an old soul, in
I'm an
my
old soul.
opinion.
I
Yeah.
am. I think I've lived on my own for far too many years, just in my own head,
Yeah, yeah,
soaking
yeah.
up wisdom from people older than me, like yourself and Andy in the
Yeah,
podcast studio, my
yeah,
parents and
yeah.
grandparents. Yeah, I was gonna say, like on Saturday, one of my mates, he's a massive, massive NFL fan, so
Yeah.
he's actually thinking of creating a YouTube channel. Maybe you guys can have your own little YouTube
There
channel
you go. You
talking
can
about
have me on
NFL
as
or
a
something.
guest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You guys can do that separately to this podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, so today, yeah, we'll talk about some junkie thoughts and unanswerable questions. So I think what I really want to do here is basically get across to the listeners that there's nothing wrong with you for having all these thoughts. Like they're natural, they're to be expected, and we can actually change and respond to these thought patterns in a really, really good, rational way. And the more we do that, the more in control of ourselves we feel. And over my time in a porn addiction, I've had hundreds and hundreds of junky thoughts, unanswerable questions. For years and years, I had no idea what these even were. So yeah, let's get into it. What I'll
Yeah.
do is I'll read out some junky thoughts from one client at a time. Let me just see how many there is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we've got 7 clients have shared their junkie thoughts slash unanswerable questions in our program. There's a lot to get through here, so we probably won't go through each individual junkie thought or unanswerable question and like dissect and analyze and respond to it because that would take
Yeah.
hours and hours. Obviously, for our clients, go to the script. That's what's going to
Yeah.
actually help you respond to that in that moment directly. But hopefully this can show people like they're not alone in thinking in these irrational ways and that this is all coming from the addicted part of the mind as well. Anything to add to that in terms of explaining what junkie thoughts or unanswerable questions are before I start reading out some, Mary?
Yeah, I think it's a good point that it's for listeners to be able to understand that these thoughts that they're having are normal, where I think that for us to respond individually to each one would be not really that important. Because it's kind of the overall concept of, junkie thinking. And we teach people how to handle that, obviously. But I think it really is important for people to get like, all the thinking that you're having is normal. And then it exacerbates, that when you don't have a way to deal with it, it's just a way, it's like a snowball going downhill or a steamroller or whatever, where it just gets worse and worse and worse when you don't have a way to to deal with it. So, understandably, if they have all these thoughts and then they end up engaging in their compulsive behaviors, like, don't cave on yourself because, I mean, it's totally normal, right? I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the gist, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like a way of kind of explaining it as well is a bit like, let's say, like for me, it's different, but it's kind of a similar concept. But like if I do like an ice cold plunge and I'm in that cold water, I will have thoughts from a part of my mind that wants me to get out of that discomfort. And the
Yeah.
thoughts may be like, this is too cold. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get hypothermia. How long can I stay in here? I'm gonna freeze, like all these extreme thoughts, right, in that moment, because a part of my mind just wants safety, just wants comfort, just wants to go down the
Yeah.
familiar route. And so it's like screaming at me to get out of the cold
Yeah.
water. Whereas like now, because I have an understanding of, these different parts in the mind, I'm able to just like observe these thoughts and respond to them rationally. Now, when it comes to compulsive desire, I'd be even more proactive and assertively dissecting these thoughts and going, actually, that's bullshit because of X, Y, Z. And that's where the script would come in, right, in that moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, these are the certain thoughts that come up from the addictive part of the mind that try and get people to engage in their compulsive behaviors through some kind of rationalization, justification, some kind of excuse that goes, okay, it's all right to go ahead and watch porn or engage in your compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
First client, we'll call him K. I'm just going to use like the last letter of his first name. So K said, my first thought a lot of times is, does this really hurt me if I give in? I have been living with it so long already. I can't get my mind off it. It will always come back. I better do it and be over with it.
Yeah. Well, we could totally dissect it, because it's obviously bullshit, you know? I mean, it's can you give me the first piece again? There's like 3 levels of bullshit in there.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah,
first bit is the unanswerable question. Well,
right.
it's also like just
Yeah,
not true, but like it's does this really hurt me if I give in? That was the first
yeah,
line.
yeah, well, that one, I mean, our clients document how much it will hurt them. You know, the addictive part of the mind is always gonna try to convince you that the reality of being in the addiction is not gonna be the reality. It's the ultimate gaslighter, you know? Your reality is not that's not true. It's not really gonna be like that. That's why we have very thorough documentation where they install that reality into their brain so that the addictive part of the mind can't just be like, "Oh, no, that's not true." You know,
Mm,
that won't be that way. It's like, "Oh, wait a minute. This is all documented." And once that documentation is really installed into the pathways, it's not something that you can ignore or pretend is not real just
yeah.
because the addictive part of the mind is like, "Oh, it's not really gonna be that bad."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It makes me think like denial is such a big part of struggling with this problem. Like before you were just like very honest and direct with me, I was in so much denial that this problem was even a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Thinking I could just control and manage it using streaks. I
Yeah, I
was
mean,
just
you
in
had a
so much denial.
podcast
Yeah, literally.
declaring that. Yeah,
Crazy, crazy times.
yeah, yeah,
Um, all right, I'll go for another client now. So this client, we'll call him E, JT's. So Junkie Thoughts. Oh man, this is going to be hard not to give in today. After having this education, you'll be fine if you relapse. Right now, we are using willpower. If you're making these videos, you can't watch porn. It's so hot today. You need to outlet that steam. He says that in quite a lot of group calls. Over summer, he's been saying he's like being hot, and I know he'll
right.
he'll laugh at this as well. Like if he
Yeah,
hears it, but it's just so crazy to think like, oh, I'm hot, so therefore I need to like go watch porn. But anyway.
yeah,
I think I've had that one before myself.
yeah.
You won't
Any reason'll do.
literally any reason, exactly. It gets
Yeah.
so desperate as well, the addictive part of the mind, especially when people are doing good for a while. That's when it goes to these like extreme lengths.
Well, and if you
Yeah,
feel like you don't have a choice, then you obviously keep looking for reasons. I'm doing it because of this, right? So it's hot. Yeah, it's hot today. So therefore,
mm,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it,
And what I was saying about steamrolling, I mean, I thought that was going to be a junkie thought. You just read like 6 in a row. It's
I'm not
like
even
one
done yet,
rolled
Mary.
into the other, into the other, into the other.
Yeah,
Definitely steamrolling.
I'm
Yeah.
literally halfway through that post as well. And this isn't. He says at the end of this post, he'll update with unanswerable questions as well. This is such a good share. And what I want to get across here as well is like, we will joke about junkie thoughts and, unanswerable questions and what comes from the addicted part of the mind. But the cool thing is, like, for the client sharing what's going on here in their mind, this is actually incredibly empowering to like witness your own junkie thoughts, witness your own unanswerable questions. You can see that actually I am the one in control, and these are just
Yeah.
temporary thoughts coming up. And I
Yeah.
shared mine at the start of this post as well, and I had tons. So there's literally nothing wrong with having these thoughts. It's a
Yeah.
good thing that these clients are able to observe these thoughts, see them as bullshit, and then share them with the rest of our community very
Yeah.
openly and honestly. This is like the level of progress and success that we want for the people we work with, to be able to observe all these thoughts, witness them, and go, oh yeah, that's bullshit. I'm good. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And then be able to respond to them and be able to respond, whether it's a junkie thought, because, unanswerable question obviously are questions, but the junkie thoughts, they feed on each other as well. And I know this is not the NFL podcast. That's the new one in the future. But I was just texting my son last night during the Packer game. Josh Jacobs, our running back. I said, when he gets his second, like if they don't get him like on his first, push forward, then his second, once he gets that second one, it's like bam, they can't stop him, It's like it's kind of like that with the junkie thinking. It's like if you don't treat that first one and recognize it, then it's like, oh, okay, now it's gonna steamroll you. It's gonna just, it's
mm,
gonna Josh Jacobs you. So
yeah.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
one of our clients was struggling for a little while to really implement his script, and he was
Yeah.
struggling with unanswerable questions in particular. And they go from one question to another, and then he started coming to the group calls recently, and he's just been sharing with everyone, like, look,
Hmm.
just act immediately. Like as soon as he has one of
Yeah.
these thoughts, boom, straight to the script. He's dealing with it
Yeah.
directly, thinking it
Yeah.
through rationally, putting the rational part of his mind back in control. And
Yeah.
it's such a good way to live, because then you are basically like free really from that questioning, the doubt, the uncertainty. Ah, shit, how am I going to deal with these urges later on today? It's like, no, I just know in this moment I'm good. I'm going to deal with it directly. And you're also rewiring and changing the neural pathways as well. So you don't have to always have these thoughts just relentlessly in the back of your mind swirling around.
Yeah,
Um,
get Josh Jacobs on the first tackle. So the
yeah,
defensive coordinator better tell the guys, get him on the first tackle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think for me, it kind of reminds me of like if you're playing football and you like, I'm going to go play in about an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
if I'm playing defensively and let's say I'm on the ball, someone's coming towards me. There's a few attackers about to try to get the ball. It's like, no, don't mess around with the ball. You're going to get tackled and you're going to concede a goal. And there's a saying in England, it's like, if in doubt, get it out. It's just like, yeah, just smash it out, like straight away, bang, let's deal with this
Yeah.
completely, instead
Yeah.
of kind of like hanging around too long with the ball. We don't want to hang around with these junkie thoughts too long in our minds. We want to go, all right, got the junkie thought. There's a time to just deal with it straight away. Otherwise, you're going to
100%.
concede.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll read the rest of this guy's post.
And football for you, football for me. We're talking two different games.
Yeah, absolutely.
FYI, listeners.
I know. I will try to get into the NFL though. I would like to at some point.
Yeah, well, they got
Yeah,
bars in Manchester, apparently.
yeah,
They're all about it. And you said you had a friend who
yeah,
knew about our new recruit,
yeah, yeah,
Michael Parsons. Yeah,
yeah. He's
cool.
a big fan. He was saying, yeah, Michael Parsons, really good. Yeah, I keep getting his name confused, and my friend corrected me on that as well. But he's in
Yeah.
Sheffield at the moment, but he is applying for jobs in Manchester. So I'm hoping he gets a job here, then
Yeah,
moves, and then I can start maybe going to watch the NFL with him sometime at the weekend.
sure.
But yeah, so the rest of this post. You won't be seeing them later, so you have this evening to yourself. Sounds like a good time to peak, right? Porn life was kind of fun back then, though, wasn't it? Damn, imagine how high you'll feel when that rush hits. I'm not deprived, so I'll go and watch porn today. You failed in the last program you were in. This one won't work for you either. Ah, man, you're stressed. Take off the edge with porn. So some really good updates there from this client, so sharing what's going on in his mind.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs just scored a touchdown, I think.
Yeah. Well,
There you go.
yeah,
There you go.
if you
Yeah,
listen
yeah,
to them, absolutely.
yeah,
Right, then we've got some more. So you're already thinking about porn. You might as well just have a quick look. You're never going to break free of this discomfort. Just give in. you'll sleep much better if you could just release. Such a classic one, that. You're
Yeah.
hiding your recovery from your wife. That's no different to hiding the porn. And then unanswerable questions. If I don't come clean about my addiction to my wife, would I ever be recovered? How long can I keep this up before I fail again? Such a classic one, that. Can an addiction ever really be cured? Again, another classic one. So, yeah, really good awareness here. And here's some more junky thoughts by a different client. Oh, those last lot were from a different client, but here's another one. Junky thoughts. I'm gonna slip. I'm helpless. I'm automatic. I got triggered. I'm not good enough. I'm single, so I have nothing to lose. It would feel so good. I'm stressed. This would make me feel better. I need sexual release. I learn through watching YouTube. This is productive.
Wow. That's all of them.
Yeah, that was a list from one client. Yeah.
I'm assuming that anyone listening that's struggling with a porn addiction has probably had many of these thoughts and more, you know? And again, well, I think that it is important to correct junkie thoughts very specifically by talking back to the addictive part of the mind using words that it uses, like, I'm not good enough. Okay, well, and these junky thoughts can all lead into unanswerable questions as well. Am I good enough? Right. And the thing is now is the issue is whether or not you're good enough rather than is life in an addiction good enough for me? It's really, I think I said that on the last podcast because we had a couple, I've actually got a note here from a Liberation Day call. I will never be enough. Will I ever be enough? It's like, and then you can go to therapy for years to try to answer that unanswerable question, and we talked about how they can, therapists, if they're not trained in that particular area. I mean, I don't think anyone's really that aware of the unanswerable question ploy as we are, or in a 12-step meeting when there isn't somebody who's very specifically trained, then you can get caught up trying to help them answer these questions that are unanswerable. And it's just, I mean, then everybody's just starts circling the drain. I've had this experience before I was really completely aware of the unanswerable question spin, where I had a room full of people that everyone's trying to help out and answer these unanswerable questions. And then it finally just came to me like, what's going on here, and it's really, and then of course, that situation mimics like overthinking, OCD, all these labels that we put on people, all these diagnoses that this is just who you are. Then we can talk about it. I mean, there's no end to it, but there's also no focus on this is your life as an addict. This is the potential for getting beyond that. Let's focus on how to make a choice in the moment so you can get there, right?
Mm.
And speaking of making a choice in the moment, I told you I wanted to like reference this because junky thoughts in that moment, unanswerable questions in that moment are so critical to changing the neural pathway, right? In the moment. So now if you are treating your addiction with therapy, now let's have a list of these junky thoughts, bam, bam, bam. And your appointment is next Thursday at 1, or you're going to go look up when's the next AA meeting or whatever, SA meeting, whatever meeting, anonymous meeting you can go to. It's like, oh, tomorrow at whenever. That's not helpful to you in the moment to change your pathway when it's critical, when you're having the junky thought and you're faced with, okay, am I going to give into this?
Yeah.
So,
Can I make
yeah,
another point on what you're saying there about unanswerable questions? I think humans have a natural bias towards problem solving. Like, we love trying to solve
yeah,
problems. And what happens here is the addictive part of the mind's going to use that against you. So you're going to have these questions, and the addictive part of the
yeah,
mind's going to conflate the choice. We had one client up above, saying, if I don't come clean about my addiction to my wife, would I ever be recovered? But in that moment right there, his problem isn't actually about whether he opens up and shares with his wife. The thing that's going on right there is he actually wants to engage in his compulsive behavior. This is a tactic from the addictive part of the mind to get him into feelings of helplessness, feeling confused, unsure, and then fuck it, you feel deprived or you feel helpless and you go ahead and you choose to engage in compulsivity. So it's so important to start off with problem diagnosis, like understanding a problem before you try solve it, because what happens with addiction is people are misunderstanding the actual problem, so then they're going down a rabbit hole, going on Quora or Reddit or whatever, trying to find a solution to some problem, when really what's going on in that moment is they've got compulsive desire and they're wanting to engage in a behavior which is destructive to their life. And so you got to bring it back to the present moment, see that for what it is, and then deal with it directly to change that neural pathway.
Right, because it starts out, uh, if I tell my wife what was it? If I tell my wife, then I'll
But it was
am I
like,
ever gonna get past it if I don't tell my wife, right?
yeah, yeah, that's it.
So it doesn't end up going and telling his wife, figuring out whether or not it's a good idea to tell his wife, ends up engaging in the behavior. So you can just see how the unanswerable question creating helplessness, feelings of deprivation, and then fuck it, right? So now you've done it, and now it's that, and you know, it you thought it was about whether or not you were going to tell your wife or how important that was to the process, you know.
Exactly.
That got obliterated by the spin of the unanswerable questions, and then you just engage in the behavior, so
Yeah, and I think
so
that
obvious.
that kind of question, like to us, like me and you are aware of that because we've been experienced. We're experienced now in teaching this. But like the thing is, like this client, for example, if he had have maybe just had a template, like just an A4 piece of paper of a script and gone away, he would have probably continued to have that question over and over and over with no outlet to talk it through. Whereas in this case, because he's a client, he's messaged us, he
Yeah,
said, okay, I keep having this question, like, what do I do? And then right away, I was like, wait, hang on a minute. Your problem isn't actually whether you tell your wife at this point in time. What's going on is you have compulsive desire. And he was like, yeah, of course. Like he got that and he understood it quite quickly, which is now
right,
he can come into our community and share that thought with everyone else, which is beneficial to everyone else in the program as well
right.
to go, oh, yeah, I might have had that thought before. And, I've had that thought myself. I've definitely thought about, oh, how much do I share with my girlfriend? But that thought will usually come up in that moment where you actually want to engage in the behavior rather than as some rational question, because the addictive part of the mind poses as the rational self, as you rightly point
Yeah.
out in your program, Mary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I shouldn't have said that it's obvious to you and I, right? It's without the education, it's not obvious. And with everything else in the world that supports, let's figure this out. Let's figure out what the answers to these questions,
yeah,
it's not obvious. So I shouldn't have really said that. It was
yeah,
obvious
yeah.
because it's
And
not.
it's very freeing though when you go beyond all of this. So we'll go for some more. So we'll call this client N. I have lots of work to do, and if I engage, I can get out of this crappy feeling and finish what I need to do easier. I think it's a short one, that short and sweet, but it's so relatable. Like almost everyone listening will probably relate to that feeling that if I watch porn, it's going to somehow help me. It's going to be productive. Like it's going to release some tension. It's going to relieve me of some stress, and therefore I'll be able to get back to work and focus. But like
Yeah.
everyone who's ever chosen to engage knows that it doesn't actually help. Like long term, it's like one of the worst things ever for your focus and productivity.
That's such classic junkie thinking, though. I mean, I've worked with several musicians, you know, um, creatives that are just like, well, mostly with nicotine addiction that I can recall right now. But it's like, oh, well, if I smoke and that's what helps me write music or whatever, and it's like, well, that's giving addictive poisonous drug a lot of credit. It's like the reason that the reason that it feels like you can be creative if you smoke is because if you're sitting there trying to be creative and with nicotine, it's active in your system for 20 minutes and then you're basically back in withdrawal. So
Yeah.
course you're distracted and you can't focus and write music when you need to go get your fix, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like it with but without the addiction, once you're free of the addiction, then you have a lot of mental energy and you're not distracted by I got to go get my fix and you can do your creative work, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the problem there is, like, as a whole in society, there's a lot of what's called a survivorship bias. I think I spoke about this on the podcast recently, but
I don't remember it.
yeah, basically, like, I was being taught this by some consultant guy who I was just talking to in a workspace one day, and just happened to meet him, and he was just telling me about this concept because we were just sharing like ideas on things, and he was telling me about survivorship bias, and it was really interesting. He was basically saying that, let's say someone's successful because of X, well, then everyone else might think, oh, it's X that's led to that success. Wait, that's not really a great way of putting it. Basically, let's say you've got someone, they smoke a few joints, and every time they smoke a joint, they write some music and they become super successful. Well, if they then go telling everyone, okay, well, I'm really great at music because I write these lyrics when I'm high, then everyone might think, okay, well, if I get high, then I'm going to be an amazing musician. But you don't see, because you're not going to see the 99.99999% of people who are smoking, getting high, writing lyrics and never ever make it. You only see the people who do make it that then come out
Yeah,
with these statements. So it comes out as if like you're getting this magical power from the weed, but you're
yeah,
just not. It's just you don't
yeah,
hear about all the people who fail. So it's
yeah,
like
right.
it's
Yeah.
bullshit basically. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
an
they
interesting
wake and
idea.
bake, and then they go take a nap and don't do anything all day
Yeah.
because 'cause they're
Yeah,
so
yeah.
burned out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we'll go on to some more. So we'll call this client. I don't know why I'm even like naming these clients because I didn't even name all of them, but we'll just call this client G. Junkie thoughts. You won't stop feeling this way until you have a look. Just take a quick look. I'm curious. I just did something great. I deserve this reward. We've spoke about that one so many times. I just want to see what's new, not actually watch anything. That one's very common, actually. The
Yeah.
consequences aren't that bad. Another classic one. I don't have a problem. It's not that harmful. Whatever, it's not that bad. Now you don't have a choice. I'm too lazy to go through the script. My ancestors did much worse things. That's not so bad. I just enjoy seeing women like this. Creating your own content like this is the dream.
Wow. That's a lot of junky thinking. It's kinda making my head spin a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to
But
be
the
fair to the yeah, can
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
say, to be fair to the guys, I did like say, "Hey guys, like, can you share as many junky thoughts as unanswerable questions as possible?" Like that you've had. Like, not all these thoughts are going on like bang, like right away. I don't think it's like this is just what thoughts have you had over the last few months or whatever, or ones you've had in the past before the program as well. Because I said to them in the post, I said, "Hey guys, I want to do a podcast talking about all this stuff." So yeah, these guys have just volunteered all their thoughts they've had.
Do not fret because it's like, "Oh my god," I can just see like, listeners are going, "Oh my god, all these junky thoughts. Oh my god, yeah, I have all these thoughts." So overwhelming, right? Well, the thing is if you're trying to convince yourself to engage, that's a junky thought. All you gotta do is recognize it. You don't have to figure it out. It's like, okay, yeah, go straight to the script. Because a junky thought is a desire to use that's happening in your mind. Same thing with unanswerable questions. It's all the same pathways. So it's really very simple. If you're trying to convince yourself to do it, you go to your script, right?
Mm.
And think it through. So if it seems overwhelming, it's not, it doesn't have to be, but I think the point of this is to let people know if you're having these thoughts, this is normal. If you have,
Mm.
and if you don't have a way to treat them effectively, then you have more and more of them. They just keep getting more creative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like you might think listening to this, oh shit, I've got so many junky thoughts and unanswerable questions. That means I've got, as
Yeah.
many problems as I do junky thoughts or unanswerable questions. But that's not how it works. Like, let's say you have a mind full of 1,000 of these different kind of thoughts and you're really resonating. There isn't 1,000 different solutions. There's one solution, like as far as we're concerned anyway,
Right. Yeah.
which is really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And the other thing too is, mindfulness is all the rage. Everyone's talking about be mindful, be mindful, be mindful. Well, it's like That's what's going on in your mind, well, okay, you can look at it, you can see it, but if you don't know what to do about it, it's just a mind full of addictive thinking that just keeps on swirling around in there until you just go, God, I can't even deal with this anymore. And then you end up in the addictive behavior.
Yeah. Another point actually I want to get across is that every single time you engage in your compulsive behavior, that's what leads to more desire. And the desire, like within that desire, is all these junky thoughts and unanswerable questions. So it's like the desire isn't just like people talk about, oh, I've got urges, but like, what does that really mean? Well, for me, it's like you're going to have discomfort and you're going to have a shit ton of these kind of junky thoughts or unanswerable questions. And that is the desire because a part of your mind in that moment is relentlessly on one pursuit to get you to engage in your compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
And because your neural pathways are wired in that way, it's going to be uncomfortable. But you don't have to act on that desire. And it's by not acting on the desire, that's how you change your neural pathways. And that's what we're doing
Exactly.
here is we're helping people become aware of their junky thoughts, unanswerable questions, so they can see, oh yeah, it's just the addictive part of the mind, experience the temporary discomfort, think it through, make a rational choice, change their neural pathways. The way we do that is with a very, very specific script, 184 piece of paper. But to anyone listening, hopefully this can still be of a lot of value, because now you can start to see, oh yeah, these thoughts are coming from the addicted part of my mind. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. There's no shame in this. Every client we work with has a shit ton of these thoughts, right? And so do I. Like I've
Yeah.
had these thoughts so many times and there's no shame in that. It's because it's how you respond to it that really matters.
Yep. And
Yeah,
then change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Isn't that
absolutely.
wasn't that Einstein? Change your thinking, change your life. Maybe I'm
Well,
making that up.
maybe you are, I
Misquoting
don't know.
Albert Einstein. Maybe I'll
Oh
just
well,
make it my quote. Change your
yeah,
thinking, change your life.
own it, own it. Right, one final one. This is another client. We'll call him M for no real reason, but why not? Just this one last time. Then I'm getting clean for good. I'm just going to have a peek. I'm not actually going to engage. I already told this to this client, but that was like probably my number one junkie thought in the past is like, I'm not actually going to do it. I'm just going to like have a quick look on Instagram and then I'll stop. And I was talking to another client on the phone today and he had a very similar one, which was like, I'm going to stop soon. Or he was like, I'm going to use my script soon. But what I said to him is like, and this is another important point actually, is that how junkie thoughts and unanswerable questions work is they're so often completely away from, like, they're so focused outside of the present moment and your choice. So they'll be in the past or they're in the future. So if
Yeah.
you've got the thought of, I'm going to stop soon, is like clearly a junkie thought because you have no power over
Okay.
stopping in 2 hours because you can't control 2 hours time from right now. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like you can only control your choice right here, right now. So yeah, I'm just gonna have a peek. I'm not.
And that other but that thought you
Yeah,
said, I'm gonna if I if I'm just gonna look, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna look. You're already doing it.
yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I just always have that thought. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like illogical, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Here's some more. I'll never get to see women like this in my real life without engaging. Others seem to be able to use it uncompulsively. Maybe I can too. So it's like, oh yeah, other people can use it and not be addicted. So maybe I can do that. Um, this content doesn't really count as engaging. Again, I just resonated with that so freaking much because, as I've said before, I spent years literally just on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff looking at content that wasn't from a porn site, but obviously that was still choosing to engage. I've been clean so long, it won't affect me much. It's completely natural to have an interest in sex. Engaging can be part of a healthy sexuality. I just want slash need to see the female form. I just want to point out that one about, being part of a healthy sexuality. That one's like so created by the external bullshit out there, like the validating of watching porn. Like people who say, oh yeah, porn's just normal, it's fine. It's like, Jesus Christ, you really think that? Like, you really think this is healthy to look at a 2D screen, looking at other people have sex? I'm not trying to create any feelings of shame here, but it's fucked
Yeah.
up. Like, it just is. Like,
Well,
it
yeah.
really is, in my opinion. But there we
And
are.
it's part of a healthy sex life or whatever that you're gonna bring it into your sex life. I'd like to pull out, this our publication, The Reality of Porn Addiction, and just start reading pretty much every letter in here talking about how it negatively affects their relationships. The guys in here that are married and have girlfriends and or what boyfriends, whatever, how it negatively impacts their relationships. It's not like, oh, this is making my relationship better, or bringing porn into the bedroom.
Yeah.
It's just, but people, you know, normalizing of addiction. People just, they live in the hell of it. They want to feel better they want reprieve from it. So it's like, oh, well, it's normal. Everybody does it. And maybe it's going to help the sex life and whatever. Then they can feel okay for a second. But then it's like, oh, no, wait. It's a basic dilemma. You want to do it and you want to stop. So you're trying to, because you want to stop, you want to deny the wanting. So it's like, well, it's not really that bad, and everybody does
Mm.
it. Could help my sex life. And, you're just trying to find reasons, you know,
Yeah.
same old basic dilemma. You want to do it, you want to stop. You want both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
hopefully this podcast can get across to people again, as we've said, there's nothing wrong with having those desires, that wanting, this
Yeah.
problem. It's not like you woke up and decided, oh, yeah, I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get addicted to porn. Like, no one ever thinks
Right.
like that. Like, we were susceptible to this from a young age. It's incredibly messed up, in my opinion, that we all got hooked on this stuff. We all got addicted. These neural pathways got wired in this way from a very, very young age for most of us without any real awareness of what the consequences would possibly be. And so from that point on, you're going to have these desires, you're going to have that wanting because that's how your neural pathways are wired at that point in time. The good news is you can change your neural pathways. You can rewire them and you don't have to live with this problem for the rest of your life, fearing what you're going to do or having all these questions and thoughts go on in your mind without any real idea how to deal with them. You can literally change the way you think about things. So you change the way you feel and therefore change how you act. And hopefully this podcast can be useful to you to see you're absolutely not alone in this problem at all.
Help is here. It's
Help
true.
is here. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Yeah.
let's wrap it up here then. If you would like to learn more about the Beyond Compulsion method, feel free to jump on a one-on-one discovery call with myself. It's completely free. I'll leave a link in the description below. We'll also leave some links to the compulsion test so you can get a score out of 100 and also a short little free training video to learn a bit more about the Beyond Compulsion method. Cheers, Mary. As always, thanks for being on here and sharing all your expertise and experience with us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
See ya.